with a look at the kickball rules in intramural sports at Florida State University. I'm Director of Intramural Sports, David Peters. Here to talk you through kickball, one of the most popular sports on campus here at Florida State. Great for people of all kinds of athletic skill level, from great talent to not so much talent. It's a great game really to get together with friends and come out and enjoy. And we're going to tell you how to play, where to go, how to check in, how to be ready for our upcoming kickball season. Facility information will be first in this presentation, followed by check-in information. Make sure you're ready with the proper ID. We'll talk about sport rules so you know how to play kickball this season. We'll finish up with league information. Know that everything we do in intramural sports, kickball and all of our sports, come off of our 7 principles of intramurals, which include fair play and sportsmanship. We want things to be positive and fun for all of our participants, and so you'll see our focus on some of those different areas. Kickball is played out at the Rec Sportsplex East on the Southwest campus. No alcohol, no tobacco, no pets, no glass containers are permitted there. If you haven't been out to the Rec Sportsplex, it's an award-winning facility. Won a national award in 2010. Very proud of that. You can come out, take a look, see what we have to offer here at Florida State for recreation, and you can see where that is by visiting our website to get some directions and also maps out to the Rec Sportsplex located on the Southwest campus. It's about a 5 to 10 minute drive from the main campus. When you get there, you want to make sure you have your FSU card. The current valid FSU card is required to check in for each game. So every time you come out, make sure you have that FSU card. And player check-in takes place at our check-in windows. They're located at the Rec Sportsplex East Field House, right there next to the parking lot, next to the fields on the east side of the property. We do not check you in at the fields. Instead, you got to come into that field house location to check in. So if you're running late or your teammates are running late, that's fine. Just remind them to check in first at the field house, and then we'll send them right out for their game and they can join as soon as possible. In kickball, only one team, a single gender team like men's, women's, fraternity, and sorority. You get one of those. If you want to play on 2 teams in our league, you can play on a co-rec team as well. So 2 teams are all right as long as one of them and only one is co-rec. Once you've signed in and your teammates have signed in for your team, they can't change to another team during our season. Playing a different sport is a whole other story, but in kickball, once you're on a team, you're stuck on that for the entire season. For more information about some of the details and guidelines and policies, procedures that we have here in intramural sports, you can view our Team Captains podcast. We encourage our team captains to do that. These rules are set for all of our different sports, and they include player eligibility, our forgotten ID pass, forfeits, defaults, and related fines, and our regular season and playoff formats. You can get all of that through that podcast. They're also available on our website through the 7 principles of intramural sports. One of those key principles is sportsmanship. We want people coming out, enjoying their time with kickball and all of our sports, having fun, and that means respecting your opponent, respecting game officials, and just overall bringing a good attitude out when you're coming to play intramural. So sportsmanship, key to that. We'll rate all of our teams on a scale of 0 to 4 throughout their contest. You need a 3.0 average to make it through our playoffs. For more information about our sportsmanship, you can view our guidelines on our website, or you can view the Sportsmanship podcast. It's available separately. All right, let's talk kickball now. It's 8-on-8 in our men's and women's leagues. That includes fraternity and sorority too. So standard number is 8. You need 6 players to start a particular game. 5 gets a default. 4 is a costly forfeit. So you could play 6-on-8 or 7-on-8, but 8 is the standard number you want. And we encourage you to have extras. You're welcome to have some subs over there, and you'll see how easy it is for subs to get involved in kickball here at Florida State. Now, our co-rec teams are also 8-on-8, but you have to have a particular number of each gender in our co-rec league. That's usually 4 and 4. That's how the standard number would work, but you have to have at least 3 of each gender in order to start. So you could play again 6-on-8, but that would be 3 males and 3 females. You could play 3 and 4 in any combination, but those are the only legal combinations for co-rec. Again, 5 players at game time is the default, and 4 or less is a forfeit. We don't want that to happen. All right, what about equipment? Well, you don't need much. Put on a t-shirt and some shorts and a pair of shoes. You're ready to go for kickball. You want to make sure you take off some things that might be a safety concern, and that is wrist and hand jewelry for our kickball players. That's visible rings, including wedding bands, watches, bracelets, those sorts of things. We think those are unsafe for kickball because you will be handling the ball and may come in contact with players when you're there. But also we have earrings, necklaces are okay unless our umpires deem them to be unsafe. If it just looks like it's going to cause a problem for you or for someone else out there, we're going to ask you to take that off before you participate in our league. Got to have shoes on too when you're playing kickball. We don't allow barefoot kickball. We don't allow sandals or flip-flops either. So any old pair of shoes, they don't have to be cleats. If they are, rubber or plastic cleats are okay. Metal cleats are not good. That's a safety factor. Also, the kickballs just can't handle being kicked with our metal cleats. You'll probably put a hole in one of those kickballs. But these other footwear, these other types of footwear are okay. So make sure you've got the right shoes on when you come out to play in a kickball game. Our kickball games are 6 innings in length or 35 minutes, and any inning that begins before the 35-minute limit is reached will be completed in its entirety as needed. If the home team's already ahead, then we won't play the bottom half of that inning if it's past the time limit. Our mercy rules in kickball are 17 runs after 4 innings or the bottom of the 4th if the home team's ahead by 17, and 9 runs after 5 innings or, again, the bottom of the 5th if the home team is ahead. And why are there such odd numbers? Well, it comes down to math and how we play kickball here at Florida State. And here's some wordiness that talks about our insurmountable leads rule. We can only score, or you can only score, 8 runs in an inning because of the way we play kickball. So once a team is ahead by 1 more run than the number of outs remaining for the opponent, in a traditional 6-inning game, we call the game. So we just look at the number of runs you could possibly score, and if you can't score enough to tie the game, then we call the game. And that happens only after we get to those 17 or 9. And that also happens in the 6th inning if you run out of enough outs in order to score enough runs. It makes sense, it's math, and it works out there for some kickball. Now, how does kickball work? Well, all 8 players kick every inning. So your entire lineup's going to kick. You can get 8 outs, you can get no outs. But 8 and only 8 is what you will have kicking every inning. And the kicking order can change every inning, which is kind of cool. You can kick first in the 1st inning and then kick 4th in the next one and kick last in the 3rd inning. That's fine. Changes like that are available. You can move in subs to kick each inning. And we'll talk about substitutions in just a second. But know that our kicking order is very flexible. If you have less than 8 kickers, however, you cannot have someone kick twice. That's the limitation there. And even if you have 8 players on your team, someone can't kick twice there either. Once per inning is what you get. The offense is responsible at the end of your lineup to announce when the last kicker is about to kick. And that makes a difference on how the defense plays, and so you will do that for each team. But it's the offense's responsibility, and that's an announcement that's made known to everybody on the field for defensive purposes. Our co-rec lineups must alternate gender. That's about the only limitation we have. If you're playing with 7 players, then the member of the majority gender must kick first so they can kick last, and then you just have that 8th position blank. Substitutes are allowed every inning. You can substitute in someone, but they must play a full 6 outs. So you can't just have a team that kicks and then a different team that plays in the field. We're going to make sure that they're playing not 6 outs, but a top and a bottom half of the inning for each of those substitutes. Courtesy runners, we don't do it in kickball because this is kickball, and courtesy runners just should not be required. And there's no stealing or leading off as a runner because you're pitching to your own team. So there's no reason that you might try to pick off a runner who's leading off. So we don't permit it at all. If those things happen, we'll rule someone out. Teams pitch to their own hitters, or kickers as they're referred to here in kickball. You have someone on your team. They've got to be signed in, but they don't have to be one of the 8 kickers in your lineup. So you can have 8 kickers, you can have 4 subs, maybe one of those subs is going to be doing the pitching all night long. That's fine. If you have just 8 players, that's okay too. You just have someone in the lineup run out there and roll the ball in for a few hitters. It's their turn to kick. You send a different pitcher out and they finish up the lineup. We limit you to 2 pitching changes per inning, just so you don't have a personal pitcher for every kicker, and so that we can keep the game moving along pretty smoothly. Now you'll see this key part here at the bottom of the screen is that offensive pitchers have to get out of the way. They do not play defense. They need to move if the ball is coming at them off a kicked ball, or even in the field if they're throwing the ball around. Your offensive pitcher needs to be moving out of the way. We'll rule interference if we have a problem. Pitchers that are hit by a kicked ball, well, that makes the kicker out and all the runners return to the base they were at the time of the kick. Now, when you're pitching, well, it's pretty standard, slow to moderate speed. Bouncies are all right. However, the hitter would like the kicker would like that pitch to come in is usually fine with us. But kickers only get 3 pitches, so we don't waste our time out there with trying to get the perfect pitch. 3 pitches is what you get. After 3, take a seat. We move on to the next kicker in the lineup. Now, kickers have to wait until the ball is within 3 feet of home plate before they kick it. And you will see on our field, we actually have a line drawn for this. Right there near home plate is the kicking line. And you have to contact the ball behind the line in order for it to be a legal kick. If you kick the ball in front of the line, we rule you out and we move on to the next hitter in the lineup. Because, as I already mentioned, we kick all 8 kickers every inning and everyone gets to kick every time. So there's going to be a lot of turnover and a lot of opportunities to get out there and try your best to get a good kick in. When you do kick it, however, the kick has to be strong enough to pass our bunt line. We've learned over the years that we need a couple lines on the field to help our college students who are playing kickball, who have a little more strategy involved than maybe you did when you were in 3rd grade with some of the things you might be using here. So if you kick a soft kick, it's got to go past our bunt line, which is about 30 feet or so in front of home plate. If it does not cross this line, or if it's touched by a member of the defensive team inside this area, it is an out. And the kicker moves on off the bases, and we move on to our next kicker. So here are those rules again in typed form, but you got to kick it past the bunt line in order for it to be in play. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to kick every inning, and we don't waste time with kickers who kick foul balls. If you go out there and you kick the ball foul, it's an out, and we move on to the next kicker. It's not a strike, it's an out. If you whiff, it is not an out. We give you a chance to redeem yourself. We don't have too much in the way of total misses in kickball. There are no walks because there aren't enough pitches. Bunting is permitted, but I just talked about the bunt line that the ball has to go past, so got to make sure you kick it hard enough to make it past there. And we do not have an infield fly rule in kickball because that's just too confusing for this type of game. Here are the fielding requirements for kickball. A maximum of 6 players, including the pitcher and catcher in the infield area, and a maximum of 2 players within the diamond. And the diamond is this brown area here. We will mostly be playing in grass fields, so this will not be a brown area, but instead it's the area inside the base path. So in between first and second, and the area inside that would be considered the diamond, and you can only have 2 players, including the pitcher. So if you're using a fielding pitcher, then maybe you can have your second baseman move in here, be a little closer, but that's all you get. Everyone else has to be outside of the base paths if they're playing an infield position. Note that you must have a catcher. Even if you're fielding a team that's less than 8 players, one of those players must be at the catcher position. In co-rec, our positions are mandated by a ratio of males to females. There's not a particular assignment that a male has to play first base. That's not the deal. But you can only have 2 males in the infield and then 2 females in the infield, for example. If the pitcher and catcher are going to be of opposite genders, and the remainder of the players will be out in the outfield. And again, the ratios will be there as well. So no restriction on actual position, as you can see here, but we have to have the right ratio of players playing infield or outfield. Finally, when fielding the ball, defenders must remain behind the pitching line until the ball is kicked. So here's that line. We don't use a pitching rubber out there. Instead, we just draw a dashed line, and our pitchers usually position themselves right here in the middle. Our fielding pitchers and other players must be behind this line until the ball is kicked. And if we have a slow roller, as soon as the ball is kicked, then that fielder may run inside this area to try to touch it for an out. But this avoids crowding in front of the plate, which we don't think is a very fair or sportsmanlike for a kickball game. How do you get out in kickball? Well, pretty much standard to softball. A ground out, say you kick the ball to second base and they throw it over to first for an out, that would work. A pop out or a fly out, a fly ball to left field, a fly ball to third base that's caught, that would also be an out. And force outs, like you would see for a double play, for example. Second base gets touched when we have a runner going from first to second. That would be an out for the runner going from first to second on that sort of ground ball. Other ways to get out include pegging the runner. Yes, it's kickball, so we do allow you to throw the ball at someone. And if you hit the runner at or below the shoulders, they're out. It must be thrown. It may not be kicked at a runner. You have to throw it. And it can bounce. So if it bounces off the ground and hits someone in the leg, for example, that runner is still out. Now, the runner is safe when they're hit in the head, and they're not liable to be put out until they pass the next base. Kind of strange, but how this is this. If I get hit running between first and second base in the head on accident, and I'm okay, and I get to second base, that's all right. I get to second base for free. But if I decide I want to continue running over to third base, well, in that case, I'm liable to be put out again. Interesting rules that we have to come up with here for collegiate kickball. Runners who intentionally use their head to block the ball, this isn't soccer, so if you use your head on purpose to get hit, we will call the runner out in that case. And fielders who intentionally hit a runner in the head with the ball will be ejected because that is not sportsmanlike at all. And our runners in that case will be awarded home, and any runner in front of them will also score on that particular play. We hope that doesn't happen, and honestly, rarely ever does. A key to pegging someone is actually hitting them, because when you miss, you should know that there is no out-of-play area on our kickball field. So if you throw and miss and it goes 100 yards away, you are running 100 yards to chase down the kickball. So be careful with pegging. If it does get trapped behind a fence or it rolls down a hill, we have rules that apply there, and our umpires will award bases as necessary. How do we end an inning? Well, when the kicker gets the last out, or actually when we record an out when the last kicker is kicking. Let me say it that way. So the last kicker comes up, the offense yells, "Last kicker!" and we get ready to get just one out. Not the kicker, just one out. Maybe it is the kicker. Maybe the kicker gets out with a ground ball or a fly ball. That records an out, the inning is over. Or you get a runner out that's already on base. So maybe it's a dribbler down to second base and they just step on the bag to get an out or touch a runner. That's one out, that's all you need, and the inning is over. And finally, touching home plate with the ball gets an out. So if we have a long drive out to left field, for example, they can throw it all the way into the catcher, and as soon as the catcher's got it and stepping on the bag, or any other fielder has the ball in their possession and is stepping on home plate, the inning is over. There's no tag required at home plate in those cases. Just step on the bag, and anyone still on the base pass does not have a chance to score. No runs will score on a force out on the last at bat, and that's a standard softball rule too. So most of our standard rules apply there. And that's kickball in a nutshell. Pretty quick, pretty crazy, but it's a great time that most of our people have when they are playing in the program for intramural sports here at Florida State in the Kickball League. We have our team captains take an exam just to verify that, hey, you've heard this information, that you've got your team ready to go for this season. So if you are a team captain, make sure you take the captain's exam. It's available online through Blackboard until 8 a.m. on the day of the captain's meeting. For information on how to sign up to be in the group and take the exam, just go to our website. We have detailed information there. Finally, we do have rain here in Tallahassee, and so we could have some rainouts. On days that it is raining, check our rain line. We have a phone line. We also have information on our website. Here's the Intramural Sports webpage, and right below the banner is this information right here. That is the rainout information. So you'll see that updated on days when it rains. We actually have a time and date stamp as well, so you know exactly what day we're talking about. You can also call our rain line at 850-645-RAIN. That's 850-645-7246 for rainout information. It's usually updated by about 5 or 5:30 on days in which we have games scheduled. If we ran out a regular season game, not usually rescheduled, but playoff games are, and we will reschedule those and post brackets online the next day. It's the responsibility of teams to check those reschedules. We will not email you that information. We have plenty of teams, and we have a great website you can check 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hey, that website also has this information, a team captain's guide, those schedules, playoff brackets, and the complete sport rules, which are rather lengthy for kickball, but we've got to write the entire book for this. We don't have anything to go back on. So you can read all of that there at fsu.campusrec.com/IM. If you have questions, send us an email, give us a call at 850-644-2430. Our office staff is more than welcome to help. And again, our website has all the information you need. For intramural sports at Florida State University, I'm Director of Intramurals David Peters. Good luck and have fun this upcoming kickball season.